Hey guys, welcome back. Today I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a chord workshop video. I put together an exhaustive list of all the cool chord voicings we can substitute for a plain C major chord. I've been thinking about this a lot with my private students. It's like, how many songs have you guys ever played with a C major chord? Probably a couple, right? It's like one of the first chords you learn on guitar, and it's in every single song. So today what I want to give you guys is some chord voicings that you can substitute for this plain C. Imagine if you were a painter, right? You've got your palette, and you've got red, blue, yellow, whatever. C major is like the color blue, right? And imagine if you only had one shade of blue or one tint of blue, how boring that would be after a while, right? You look at a great painting, you need like some light blues and some shades of darker or like maybe purplish tinged blues, right? So I want to give you guys these chords as kind of like a roadmap or like to expand out your color palette of C major sounds. And a lot of these are really easy. We're going to go through them one by one. I'm going to show you how to play them and then talk about maybe some examples of songs where you can go hear them or cool songs you could learn that use these. My goal is to get you guys experimenting and at the end of the day, just have some fun getting these into your vocabulary as soon as you can. Okay, so this isn't a beginning guitar video. This is assuming you guys know this basic C major chord that looks like this. C, E, G, C, E. Okay, if you can't make that one sound good, this is not the video for you. So, assuming you can play that, let's dive into it. So, first things first, there's a couple of different ways to play just plain regular C, interchangeable at any time, right? So the first one is, you can play C like this, but just move your ring finger over to the low string, and that gives you a chord we call C over G. Now when you're playing this, you want to use your ring finger to mute the string underneath, right? So we're muting the fifth string. So we get this G, and then a muted string, and then regular C on top. It gives a little extra low end to the sound because one of the things on the regular C is that you really don't want to hit the low string. Right? It's kind of muddy, right? So this is a way to clean it up and add some extra body to the C chord. Cool. So the other thing, and some books will actually teach you this as well, is that you can play that C over G, but add your pinky back in to the fifth string where the C was, so that you get G, C, E. So this we could still call C over G. It's just a different fingering and it adds back in the original root note. And now we're playing all six strings. It's a gigantic sound. To me, it's almost too much though. Like it can get muddy sounding, especially in a mix with a bunch of other people playing, but maybe good for like playing some solo guitar if you just want to like drop a bomb. Okay, so the other one that's interchangeable with normal C is if you play the C like this, but add your pinky on the high third fret. So that's just the note G, which is a note that's already in the C chord. So we're not changing any of the notes, we're just adding an extra G on top, which gives it kind of like a high-end sparkle to the C. Here's the plain C. Here's the C with the pinky on top. There's other chords around it that have that high G on top. This can kind of make some of these chord transitions sound smoother, right? So if you think about, like, for instance, going to a G chord, maybe you go to the G with the four fingers. It's another video. Your pinky's still on top so that you get this high note, and it's sustained throughout the chord progression. Maybe you're going C, G, C, right? Or maybe maybe you go to the G like this, which a lot of fingerstyle players play. This version of G where you do ring finger, middle, and pinky, and you don't do pointer finger. So this G chord, great to switch back and forth to this C with the high note in it. There are some really great tunes that have a bunch of these open chords with the pinky on top, like A minor with the pinky on top, F with pinky on top, G with pinky on the high note. Like, my favorite example of this is that Beatles tune called Hide Your Love Away, which goes like G with the pinky, D with the pinky, F with the pinky, back to G, C, F, C, G. Or the great Tom Petty tune, Learning to Fly, right? It goes F to that C, A minor, G, but all of them have that pinky on top. But the C chord with the pinky is still just plain C, right? Okay, really nice sound, but the point is this C chord with pinky on top, also interchangeable with normal C all the time. Cool. So we talked about chords that are just still plain C, but facilitate some cool movements down here. Let's talk about some C chords that are actually adding new colors to the original C chord. Probably the first one that people learn is this chord called C add 9. That's where you're adding the ninth note of the scale of C to the chord, right? So if you think about a C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, that's the eighth note, and you go one more back to D on top, that's the ninth. Anytime you're playing a C chord but you're adding a D note, that means it's a C add 9. So the first way to play it is play your regular C like this, but add your pinky on the second string, third fret. So kind of like the chord we just did, but you're moving your pinky from the high string over to the B string, second string. So that's looks like this, but pinky's gonna go in and it sounds like this. So that pinky's sort of replacing your pointer finger. Okay, so it's this beautiful lush sound, right? A lot of times we'll play that going back and forth from a normal C to that pinky note to add a little bit of motion to the chord progression, right? So maybe you're hanging on C for 2 or 4 measures, but you just throw that in there back and forth to give it a little bit of extra oomph, right? So check it out. Pretty sweet, right? The other way you can do it is you can do a different fingering for it, which looks like this. In this one, it's like you're playing a G chord, but you move these 2 low fingers over a string. So we've got C, E, and then we've got open string, and then we've got 3rd fret with our ring finger, and then we're gonna put that pinky back on the top string G so that we get this sound. Again, a little more of that high-end sparkle because we have the high G on top. Very easy to switch back and forth to a regular G chord, right? So we've got a lush sounding C. Nice sound, right? Beautiful, super easy, cool. So that's putting the D on the top of the chord voicing, right? In the higher register, so the D is on like a higher string. But check this out, you can also add it as a low open D on the 4th string. So that would sound like this. Take your regular C chord and then take out your middle finger so that that open string rings. Sounds like this. So you got the C, And then you got open D, G, C. I think that's like a really interesting and maybe underutilized sound. It has this kind of like hanging, but like it sort of hangs out there, but it has this kind of like open, sort of prairie vibe sound to it. Super cool. Again, go back and forth from that note to the regular C. So this is kind of a common thing. You might even do a hammer on there, right? Or you can do the next chord, which is take your normal C, but add your pinky on that string on the 3rd fret. So you've got the F note with pinky. So C, F, open G. Okay, so we call this a C sus. So here's the regular C. Here's the C sus. We can go back to that C add 9, or sometimes we call this a C sus 2 because we're changing the 3rd note of the scale to the 2nd. Don't get too bogged down in the names, but some people will call it a C sus 2. Those 3 chords in conjunction happen often, right? C sus 2, or add 9, regular C, and then the C sus. Then we've got that kind of like little melodic line in the middle of the chord that goes la, la, la. Okay, so see if you can pick that out. La, 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 la. Instead of just playing C for 4 or 8 measures or something, it just gives you a little bit of like something for the listener to hold on to and engage with instead of just being like flatlined C. Just playing this over and over gets a little boring, right? So now we've got... Okay, so I told you guys we were going to start working towards some spicy sounds. So this next one is a little bit kind of along the same vein. It's kind of lush sounding and pretty, maybe a little bit more jazzy sounding. So this one is called a C6. So again, if you're keeping score, we're adding the 6th note of the C major scale into a regular C chord. So if you think about it, C, D, E, F, G, A. The A is the 6th note. So to play that chord, it looks like this. We're gonna basically play like a normal A minor, but add our pinky on the C. So we've got C, E, A, C. A lot of people do little hammer-ons to that from a normal C as well. So if you're thinking about your C here, you can also take your middle finger and move it over for like a quick spicy note to the A, which would sound like this. And now we're going to get to the really spicy ones, all right? Which we're going to add some versions of 7ths to the chord, which gives it a really like abrupt and still kind of lush sound, right? So the easiest one is just to take your plain C and take your pointer finger out, which gives you the note B, the open B, which is the 7th note of the scale. Here's our C major 7. Oh yeah. Woo! If you're going for that really lush, pretty sound, this is pretty common, right? So normal C. All right, real Taylor Swift-esque. Another fingering for this is to actually play the plain C, but add your pinky on the 4th fret of the 3rd string. Notice that that's still the note B. But then we get this sound where we've got the B and the C together. Which, if you just play those 2 notes, not a sound most people would describe as pleasant. But when you play it in context with the whole chord, it sounds really cool. It has this tension in it, but still the beauty and lushness that we loved from before. It's kind of unexpected because that one's a little bit trickier to get all the notes to come out, so you don't hear it quite as commonly, but I think it's, again, like a really underutilized sound, especially in acoustic guitar playing. It's like biting into a grapefruit. Woo! One other quick voicing I want to point out with that is that you can also take your ring finger from the bottom of the C chord and put it on top and get this G with that high G sparkle note that we were talking about from the beginning. And then you get this sound. Check it out. Normally you would only play the top 4 strings in this, but this is the same chord, which is one of my all-time most favorite chords. And since we're not using any open strings, we could move this up the neck, right? So like here might be the shape. If you move it up to the 6th fret, this is like an F major 7. Oh man, I could just play that all day. It's so pretty sounding. One last chord that I want to show you guys, and this is what we call C7. So the last 2 chords were C major 7, which means you're going to add the 7th natural note from the scale, which was B, right? So in a 7th chord, if you just see C7, that means you're going to add the flatted 7th note of the scale. Okay, so in this case, if you're keeping track, it's a B was the 7th, but if we lower it a half step, that's the flatted 7, which is B flat. We can't play that as an open string, but we can play it 3rd fret of the 3rd string. So the typical way people would play this is to play a normal C chord and then add that pinky note on 3rd fret. If you play the flatted 7th, C7, it gives it a really kind of bluesy sound, right? So check it out. A lot of tension in that sound, not as lush and pretty, a little more edgy and bluesy sounding, right? Pretty cool. And I have to just point out this cool chord progression, which I love. Last thing before we go, which is this Beatles tune called Something. You may have heard of it. One of my favorite bands, Fish, also has this tune called Waste, which uses the same chord progression, which goes regular C, and then C major 7, and then C7, and it pulls down to an F chord, right? So check this out. C major 7, C7, to the F. Ah, perfect. It's so good. Tracks me like no other lover. Okay, you guys get the idea. I really hope you guys got something out of this, and maybe, again, the intention is to archive these chords or to have one video maybe you can keep coming back to get inspiration for songwriting, for arranging cover songs. Have some fun, right? Experiment, try these out in different scenarios, different situations, different songs. Not all of them are going to work all the time, right? And you have to spend a little bit of time figuring out the context and what sounds good and which chord voicings sound good in which context, right? Like if you get hired to play in a Johnny Cash tribute band, probably doubtful you're going to be playing this sound. You know, and if the chord, if it's a bluesy tune and you're playing, you know, C7, you can't willy-nilly go putting in like the C add 9 or like the C major 7. Like, this is not the sound, right? So use your ears, try them out, and yeah, hopefully you guys got something out of this. And if you like this and kind of content and you want more of these lesson videos, please drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. I really do appreciate the feedback. Please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.